psyched for my guest today. I can't wait. It's going to be a great show. Can't wait. I'm so excited for this show. Craig Berry Experience is going to run. Are you ready for the Craig Berry Experience on New Day Talk Radio, where every day's a new day? Hi, you're just in time to watch the Craig Berry Experience. Enjoy the show. Well, hello everybody. Welcome to the Craig Berry Experience. I am Craig Berry, and I hope you're all having a great day. I know I am. I am joined today by two people. One is my favorite person in the world. That's Amy Steinberg. Hi, Amy.
Hi there. I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I am doing great. And say hi again, Amy.
Hi there. How are you?
Excellent. And the other person we are joined by is our very own special guest, Alan Hamburger. Alan, how are you?
Terrific, Barry.
Good. Today's show is going to be a blast. We're going to have a great time. And Alan is a comedian. He is absolutely hilarious. And unlike most comedians today, he's funny. And he's clean. So we got the best of both worlds. And Alan, I know you keep up on current events in the world news. What do you think about and what do you know about Iraq?
Hi, Barry. Hi, everybody. Before I get started, I want to make one disclaimer.
Sure.
And that's I want to tell everybody ahead of time that I'm not what you call politically correct. But I am environmentally correct because most all of my material is recycled. So if you think you heard any of these jokes before, you probably did, but I'm the one that's here remembering to tell them, and I want to get credit for that anyway.
It's only fair.
So what was the question again?
Well, the question again was, I know you keep up on current events in the world news. What do you know about Iraq?
Well, I know that's what I say just before I start a pool game.
Okay. Oh, that's awesome.
How do you follow something like that? Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Go ahead, Amy. Ask me a question. Go ahead.
Oh golly, there's just so many things I want to ask you, Alan, because. Well, first of all, your last name. I mean, that's great. Was that to have a last name like Hamburger?
Well, just lucky, I guess. My father came from Germany in 1920 with his brother, so somebody from Hamburg, Germany, would be a hamburger. He actually came from Berlin. I remember on many occasions asking him, "How come our name isn't Berlin Burger?" But he never had an answer for me that made sense. But it's definitely German.
Yeah. So tell us and all of your listeners something about your dating experiences, because I know you came to LA 20 years ago. So could you tell us a little bit about
dating experiences? My favorite, all-time favorite comedian was Rodney Dangerfield, whose well-known line was, "I don't get no respect." And I know that Rodney passed away a few years ago, but while he was still around, I was number one after him as far as getting no respect. And it started out okay. I mean, the very first time when I came to LA, the first woman I met I was in line at the DMV. I was talking to this woman next to me, and she said, "What do you do for a living?" I said, "I'm not working right now. I just recently got out of prison." And she said, "What were you in prison for?" I said, "I murdered my wife." And she said, "Oh, you're single." So I thought, man, I heard the women, she was so impressed. So I thought a lot of women were supposed to be so tough in LA. We talked a little further, and I was going to ask her out. And she said, my last boyfriend nicknamed me Federal Express. And I said, "Why would he give you a nickname like that?" She said, "Well, if I go home with a guy," she says, "I absolutely positively have to be there overnight." So that turned out to be a really good first date. And but that was it. My second girl I met, she told me her last boyfriend had nicknamed her Cutie, which on the surface she was pretty attractive. That sounded okay until I found out it stood for chronic urinary tract infection.
That's great.
So they said, stay away from the cuties, you know. So I went in the dating scene, you know, and I tried to impress people. When I first came to LA 20 years ago, a lot of the men those days were wearing pagers. And, you know, women were pressed. They thought they were attorneys, doctors, or whatever. You know, I had this old garage door opener I used to put on my belt when I went to these happy hour mixers, you know. And a lot of women were really impressed when I started wearing that. I got a lot more phone numbers, you know, because I was one of the biggest pagers they'd ever seen. But I mean, but I remember, you know, starting the very beginning, you know, first in LA, came to one of these mixers. I mean, the first woman I walked up to, I said, "What could I do to turn you on?" She said, "You got any friends?" So, you know, I wasn't going to be dissuaded. I walked up to another one. I said, "Hey, can I buy you a drink?" She said, "Sure, as long as you go away and let me drink it by myself."
I'll tell you.
So, you know, that was just not exactly what I wanted, but you know, I'm not the kind of guy to give up. I still mingled around and stuff like that, and so finally, after a sort of a frustrating evening, you know, I decided to leave, and I'm walking out the door. At the same time I left, I remembered that one of the women I was talking to was going out the door at the same time, so I held the door open for her, and we walked out. I looked at her, I said, "Your place or mine?" She said, "They both sound good." I said, "Yeah." She says, "You go to your place, I'll go to mine."
I love these old Rodney jokes because I know they're from Rodney.
No, they're not actually. That last one definitely was not from Rodney.
Oh,
no,
well,
but you know, it's all of the whole frustrating internet type thing, you know.
So, and that reminds me about your internet. Okay, I want to know. How do you remember your password on various internet sites?
Oh man!
Any suggestions for our listeners?
Yeah, you know, I had a lot of times, you know, I got so many websites, and you're supposed to create a password for every one, and I'll worry about hackers. Now, what I've done basically right now, since I always get mixed up, I just my password for every site that I try to get in, I just make it incorrect. Because when I typed it in, the message comes, "Your password is incorrect." I type in incorrect, boom, that's it, I'm on. So, absolutely no problem at all.
Now, I heard you tell someone once that you like pizza better than sex.
Oh.
Is that true?
Well,
and why would you say that?
Well, in my case, the reason I like pizza better than sex is I can get pizza.
Oh no!
No trouble at all getting pizza. You know, that's about it.
Yeah.
So being that you've had so many great dating experiences, and you have an easier time getting pizza than getting getting sex. Have you ever been married? And if so, did you learn anything from it?
Oh, well, yes, I was married once. Most of my 20s I lived in Spain. It's a long story how I got over there, but I actually met a girl on the beach from Holland, and we went out for a while, and we lived together for a year. We finally went up to Holland, got married, and you know, everybody, when I told people about it in the beginning, they always referred to it as a storybook romance, you know, but it turned out to be written by Stephen King. You know, so you know.
Sounds like my first marriage.
Yeah, so you know, I remember when we got married. You know, it was a nice ceremony, but it was different. I remember at the time I didn't think much about it. The minister actually said, "If there's anyone here present who thinks this union will last a lifetime, speak up now so the rest of us can get a good laugh." And then I had no idea really how cheap my wife was until we exchanged rings, and the box she gave me on the lid, it said "Some assembly required."
Nice.
So you know that was
Nice.
So you know, when we're married, newlyweds in the beginning, you know, we had sex almost every day. You know, like almost on Monday and almost on Tuesday, almost on Wednesday.
Can you relate to that one?
Yes.
So I remember she was basically immature. We were both sort of young, but I remember that first year we were married, how many times I'd be in the bathtub minding my own business, having a bath, and she'd come in and sink all my little boats. You know, that was so immature on her part, you know. And she was a little bit eccentric. She used to like to soak her panties in the sink, you know. Sometimes she would sit in there for 2-3 hours at a time. You know, we only had the one bathroom, you know, but she knew how to soak. But, you know, I hung in there. I mean, I can remember so many years ago, I remember she would say to me, "You don't understand me." And I'd say, "What do you mean?" You know, and I remember quite a few times she would tell me I didn't pay enough attention to her. No, I think that's what she said.
You know, you're funny as hell, and you're actually making me laugh, which is great. But I hear you're writing a book in reverse psychology. Is that true?
Yeah, I just finished. It's coming out next month. I finished this book on reverse psychology, and I want to just mention right now to you and any of your listeners, whatever you do, I don't want you to buy it, okay?
Well,
no matter how interested you might be in it, please don't buy it. I mean, I did write a book of several years ago for people with low self-esteem. It was called Looking Out for Number 6. You know, and I remember it got mixed reviews. You know, some people hated it and some people really hated it.
Oh, wow.
You know, so that's how the reviews went for it. But I'm pretty big into reading. You know, I mean, I went to the library recently. I was going to get this book. It was called Curing Your Fear of Heights. But when I got on there, it was like way up on the top shelf. And I thought, there's no way I'm going up there after that. That's just that's not going to happen, you know. And then I took this workshop, and one of our homework deal, we were supposed to get this book. It was called Success Through Timing. So I went to the library. I walked up to the counter. The girl said the last copy was checked out about 10 seconds ago. You know, so that turned out to be sort of a bummer too. You know.
Oh, now that's funny.
Well,
That's
it's just part of my woe is me story.
It's really funny. Now, what advice would you give someone if their life work or their wife or girlfriend say she's giving you a threesome for your birthday and asks her which friends do you want?
That's right. If I would say this to anybody, guys out there listening, I mean, if your wife or your girlfriend says for your birthday, honey, I'm going to give you a threesome, and I want you to, who do you want to go?
Yes.
I would say whatever you do, just give her one name. Don't give her two names, because she'll really get upset then.
Wow,
that's a big mistake.
Yeah.
Which of my friends would you like? I said, don't name two friends. Just name one.
Oh, that's funny. Now, Amy, do you have any questions?
Well, I know that I guess you must have grown up in Ohio, or your early life was in Ohio. So
Yeah.
could tell our listeners a little bit about your early life in Ohio?
Well, actually, I was raised in a circus. You know, I always wanted to run away and join an orphanage. And that was always my goal as a kid. But no, that's not true. I had parents, but my parents, I could tell I wasn't wanted because, you know, as a baby, my mother actually breastfed me through a straw. So I never bonded, you know, the way a lot of kids did. And, you know, ever since then, I've always been interested in women's chests because I never got that close as a baby, you know. But I remember my parents Dad used to tell me to go play in the traffic. Now, that isn't what you would normally tell a kid, I don't think. And I remember many occasions when we'd be in a mixed group and my Dad would look at somebody and look at me and my sister, and he'd say, "Gee, I wish we would have had some children that lived." That was not good for your self-esteem. I had very low self-esteem as a child, you know. I mean, the first job I ever took, I was 16, and I took a job in McDonald's as a speed bump. You know, I mean, you talk about low self-esteem, you know. But they did have a good medical insurance at the time, but, you know.
I guess with the last name Hamburger, you probably wouldn't want to be working in a McDonald's. They might...
No, I've heard all the hamburger jokes that you could possibly try to come up with.
Well, I was going to bring the cheese.
The cheese, that's right. Yeah. Well, right now I have a lot of Hispanic friends, so, you know, I always say, in Spanish, the word hamburger is hamburguesa, and I always say sin queso. So that's without cheese.
Right.
So I have a group of Hispanic friends. Whenever I come around, they say "Hola sin queso." So that's just what they call me now.
Oh, that's funny. I'm going to ask you something that's not written down, and it's sort of a serious question. I like to throw curves at people.
Mm-hmm.
How did you get into comedy?
I started first grade when I was 5 years old. Those days I put the round pegs in the round holes. So I was a year and a half to 2 years younger than every kid in the class, and I had the name Hamburger, so I got picked on quite a bit, you can imagine. So I used humor to deflect some of the guys that were going to beat me up. And I've been in sales my whole life, and I always used humor as an intro to meeting people. Even though some of the world's greatest salesmen never told a joke, I used humor and to establish rapport, and it worked for me. And it just sort of an offshoot would be to, even recently, the first time I ever went for an open mic night, I thought I was going to try that, go out there, get up the nerve. So I signed up. I walked out on the stage, and I remember as soon as I walked out there, this guy was yelling, "Get off! Get off!" I looked down, I was standing on his hand. So I told jokes that night for close to an hour, and I would have actually gone on even longer, but the place had really bad security, and all the people got away. So well, you realize when you're the only one left in the club, it's time to stop. There's no use to go on at that point.
I don't know. Amy can attest to this. I tend to talk to myself a lot. But that's because the other voices are there.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. All right. So, what do you tell a friend when he complains about how much his wedding costs?
I say, if somebody complains about how much his wedding has cost, I say, just don't worry about it. That's nothing compared to how much your divorce is going to cost you.
Is that true, Amy?
Hey, I don't know. I didn't pay anything when I got divorced, so.
Oh, good. So we're not.
And neither did my ex-husband, because I was the one who was working all the time.
Well, I just don't want to pay for our divorce if we ever get divorced, which I don't think we're going to.
Yeah. Well,
We better not.
no, we won't.
Oh, good.
I'm glad to hear that.
Although that's like the old joke. When my grandfather was alive, he would. I have to put my humor into this conversation.
Oh, please do.
He would be in a. He used to go, and this is no joke. It's true. He used to go to McDonald's and hang out with his crony buddies, and he said, yeah, if he saw a good looking older woman, he'd go up to her and he said, you look like my third wife. And she'd said, how many wives have you had before? He said, 2.
I like that joke.
That's a good pickup line.
Yeah.
Here's one that I found really should work well, but it doesn't. Just walk over to an attractive woman and say, how I couldn't notice, but how horny I am. That should work, but somehow or another it hasn't really enabled me to pick up too many people. But I'm feeling a little funny today.
Why's that?
Well, I was reading my horoscope yesterday morning, and it said, if you go out tonight, a brief conversation could lead to some long, hot, delirious nights in the bedroom. Sound pretty good. So I went to this club, loud music. I remember I was leaning over talking to this one woman. I said, "What did you say?" And I leaned close, and she said, "I think I'm coming down with the flu." So I'm pretty sure some long, hot, delirious nights in the bedroom are going to be coming upon me very shortly.
Well, speaking of sex and women and everything, here's a medical question for you. Why is sperm white and urine yellow?
Well, that's basically for men. The reason sperm is white and urine is yellow is so you know whether you're coming or going.
Oh, Amy, love that joke. So, look at the look on her face. She's dying.
For those who don't know, it's just a little reminder.
Folks, you got to see this. I'll put the camera back on Amy for a sec. Yeah, go ahead. Look at how red she is. Oh, that's funny.
It makes sense. Our bodies are designed to help us out, you know.
Well, Amy will be back in a minute. She's dying over there. Did you see the new movie called Constipation?
Actually, Barry, I don't think it's out yet.
Oh, it isn't?
It didn't come out yet, no.
The little KO Pectate will work on that. Oh my God! Look at Amy, folks. She's dying.
It's just a simple little medical question. You know, wouldn't really thought it would have that effect.
Oh, okay. I'm trying to kill it. Oh, now I'm laughing like that. So the glasses come off right about now. All right, now, Alan, I think we're all in the same tribe, or partially in the same tribe in this room.
Mm-hmm.
And
whatever that means.
Yeah, we're all somewhat Jewish in this room, I think.
Well.
Okay, why do Jewish men like to watch porn movies backwards?
Oh no.
Well, that's simple. They love to see the prostitute giving the money back.
I should have known that one was coming.
Unlike the
No
Okay, so we're having some funny, silly stuff. Okay, now, Alan, man, I haven't laughed like this in a long time. It's fun.
Okay.
All right.
Ask me anything.
All right. Do you believe in the old adage, when one door closes, the other door opens?
I know for a fact that that's true, because that's the reason that my car's in the body shop at this moment.
I love that. That's great. Amy, I'm not going to put the camera on you right now.
Please don't.
Yeah. Oh, man. This is funny stuff. See, this is why I wanted Alan to come on our show so badly, because I think we all need a laugh. And if you take, would you agree with this, Alan? If you take life too seriously, it's not quite worth it.
Well, did I ever tell you what my philosophy of life is?
What's that?
Every day, if I can make one person laugh and one person smile and one person happy, then I'm pretty much of a failure, because I'm not reaching a whole heck of a lot of people.
Exactly.
Of course, it's all the same person, so he's,
Yeah. Well, oh man, that's so true. If you're only reaching 3 people or one person, or it's not. Okay. Did you ever get a jaywalking ticket?
Well, close. Recently, I was up in Beverly Hills, and I cut across the middle of the intersection. This little woman comes running up to me with a tablet, one of these, and she says, "You're jaywalking, that's going to cost you $75. And I started panicking. I actually almost was crying, and I said, "Is this going to go on my record?" I said, "Can I go to walking school?" And she started laughing. I said to her, I had a friend got 3 jaywalking tickets in 1 week, and they took away his shoes.
They took away his shoes.
So she was still laughing. She said, "I never heard those before." And she pointed. She said, "The crosswalk is up there. Go up there and don't cut across the middle again." So that's how I almost got a jaywalking ticket, but I somehow got out of it.
Well, it's funny. When I first moved out to California 16 years ago, I was in Santa Monica 3rd Street Promenade. Okay, and in Massachusetts, walk and don't walk, merely suggestions. It's usually run like hell or get out of the way. And I decided to walk against the light, and I got a jaywalking ticket. And I was telling the cop that I'm from Massachusetts and they don't exist. And you know what else he said doesn't exist in Massachusetts?
No.
People with brains. So he gave me a $200 jaywalking ticket.
Wow.
Yeah, that's only fair.
That's what
that cop was having a bad day, apparently.
No, he worked for, what's the name of it? I just found out the cops getting after the people. What's that little city there? That the attorney general just came down and said that they instead of doing their normal things that they do, they're giving tickets to all the black people. That's how they raise revenue.
Oh, in Wisconsin, yes.
That's how they raise revenue. I don't think it was Wisconsin. I think it was
wherever.
one of the cities, southern cities.
Oh, in Alabama. That's right. Yeah.
All right. So I have a question for you, Alan. you tell us a little bit about your travels around the world. I know you're a world traveler.
Yeah, well, I did spend most of my 20s in Europe. Originally, when I got out of college, I was drafted. I went in the Air Force. They sent me to Spain. I was over there for a couple of years and got discharged in Spain, and I just stayed another 7 years, just traveling around the world, and mostly Europe, of course, and Africa. And yeah, Spain is. I went back to Spain recently, and I'll tell you what hasn't changed at all. Unlike you living in California, we don't. They smoke still in Spain everywhere. I mean, the first restaurant I went in, the maitre d' asked me, "Do you want smoking or chain smoking?" Those are my two alternatives. I mean, the Spanish flag actually has a picture of a pack of Marlboros on it, the official Spanish flag. The motto of the country of Spain right now is
That's horrible.
And 2 years in a row, I did the running with the bulls in Pamplona. And, a lot of people said, well, that's nice, but that's dangerous, isn't it? I say, if you stay about 40 yards behind and watch your step, it's really not that dangerous at all. I mean, technically, you can do the running with the bulls without being in front of them, so I'm not crazy, but
why not?
At least I can say that I did that. So
well, that's a definite bucket list thing, to do something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. What would you tell a woman who wants you to be her sugar daddy?
When a woman says, "I'm looking for a sugar daddy," what do you think? I'd say, listen, with my income, I don't think I could be your sugar daddy, but I could be your NutraSweet daddy. So if you're willing to settle for a little bit less, I might be your guy.
Amy, I'm going to go to you on that one, Amy. That's.
It's funny, Alan. Listening to you, it brings back memories. We were talking before the show, and it brings back memories of an uncle that my Uncle Murray. What Jewish person doesn't have an Uncle Murray? So, and this is sort of serious in a way too. Over the years, have you seen? Because you said you started out with comedy as a kid, and you're still doing it now. So could you talk a little bit about as you've used that comedy as a mechanism to keep I laughed so hard so I wouldn't cry. So can you kind of talk a little bit about, as a kid, how you used comedy versus how you use it now? How you use it now.
Well, I always believe in use a lot. I use a lot of self-defecating humor, So it's if you put yourself down before somebody else has a chance to do it, that's one theory of going around and mingling with people.
Yeah. So again, we're talking about being Jewish, and you had once told me, you said that you had a definition of what to call a cheap circumcision. Could you?
Yeah, the cheap circumcision is. I would just, the definition to me of it, I would say I'd call it a ripoff.
Oh no.
Oh.
Okay. All right. You're allowed to groan a little bit if you want to, but I mean, you can't expect me to come up with the perfect answer to all of these outrageous questions.
Well,
in fact, you know why
I can't relate to that one.
You know why the Jews 2,000 years ago, or whatever it's been, came up with the whole concept of circumcision?
Why is that?
Well, that's because Jewish women aren't interested in anything unless there's at least 20% off.
Is that true, Amy?
Pretty much, yeah. I can relate to that one.
Okay.
That part of it.
Okay, I've got a question for you. Is it true your father was 82 and he still didn't need glasses?
That's true. 82, my dad still didn't need glasses. He would drink straight from the bottle, his whole life, so I would say that was his thing, and my mom could never talk him out of it, so.
82, you still didn't need glasses.
Yeah.
All right, what's the difference between a nail stylist and a hairstylist?
A nail stylist and a hairstylist. Well, a nail stylist gives hand jobs, and a hairstylist gives blow jobs.
So does that mean if you go to school to study both, then you give hand jobs and blow jobs?
I would say if you're ambidextrous, yeah, you're multi-talented, why not?
I don't know about you folks. I want to go to that salon.
Yeah, okay, I know you do.
Oh man, it's funny stuff. You're very funny and very irreverent, and this is why we need comedy. One thing I've always wanted to know, because many people who know me know I've always wanted to be a stand-up comedian, but I'm so short nobody could tell I'm standing up.
Right. Slouch up.
You
would qualify for me.
Yeah, exactly.
You heard about the woman that told her fiance, "I know you're a hunchback, dear, but try to straighten up when you meet mother."
What was the very first joke you ever told?
Oh, I have no idea what it was. First joke I ever told, I probably was trying to make my dad laugh so he didn't spank me for something bad I did. That was probably it. But
see, and with me, I do impersonations.
Yeah.
I do Kermit the Frog, and you know, I have another show in Anaheim, and they get a little upset when I do Kermit the Frog. But
very good.
Thank you. I also do presidents. I can't do Obama because he's too tall. I can't do George W. Bush because I can't get my head that far up my behind.
Oh.
Yeah. But
tell us what you really think about George W.
Oh, well, there's only a half hour left in the show. I would need 4 or 5 shows for that.
Okay.
But I've always done these things, and as a little kid, I would watch Monday Night Football. Remember Howard Cosell?
Sure.
Hello, everybody. I'm Howard Cosell. Tonight on ABC's Monday Night Football, the New York Football Giants would play the New England Patriots. And I would sit and I would watch the game, turn down the sound, and announce the game as Howard Cosell. After my neighbors called the cops on me and my parents tried to disown me, I still haven't stopped. What's your secret of, I don't know how many years you've been doing comedy, because you're what, 25?
Give or take. Mostly
right?
give.
Right. What's your secret of the longevity?
The secret of longevity? I'm still unknown.
Yeah, so?
I mean, my fan club broke up last week. The guy died. So that shows how far I've come in comedy. Well,
Speaking of dying, as you know, I work with seniors, and we were having a conversation before the show. You said you'd like to perform for seniors. What's your you have any things you could tell us about, what you would tell seniors, or what would be comedy for seniors?
I would just tell jokes that have to do with seniors that they can relate to, as you're older, when you being forgetful, and a lot of things that they, that they'll be able to relate. For those are the kind of jokes I would tell. But even a lot of the material today, seniors would laugh at. I'm the kind of guy that believes you don't have to. You can be PG and still be funny. Even though, I've been dating this girl, she really gets turned on by 4-letter words. Last week she heard the word sale. She went crazy, She's been known to go nuts when she hears the word free, So 4-letter words can really do it for her. But, last Saturday was really fun. I took her horseback riding, and she was having a really good time until I ran out of quarters.
You have to think about that one for a minute.
Okay, got one for you.
Okay.
Do you think you could ever get away if you were ever chased by a NASCAR driver?
I've been thinking about this, and I'm pretty sure if you were chased by a NASCAR driver, all you would have to do would be to turn right, and that would be enough to get away. You know, they're not programmed to go that. In fact, I don't know if you saw the senior Indianapolis 500 last year.
Oh no!
I
The
missed that
senior
one.
guy that won that, the guy that won that went the whole 500 miles with his left turn signal on. You know.
That's that's typical.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's definitely a typical thing that he would go 500 miles with his left turn signal on. I think he might live in Massachusetts.
Or Florida.
Or Florida. All right, so what would you call a person who has syphilis, gonorrhea, herpes, and AIDS?
In trouble.
Syphilis, gonorrhea, I would. How about an incurable romantic?
An incurable romantic. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
I could see that.
I could see that.
Yeah, okay. That may not be some of your first thought, but it works for me.
Amy, do you have a question? Go ahead.
No, I was just thinking about something that somebody had told me the other day that I think Alan would appreciate.
What's that?
What do you call a woman? What do you call a woman that sets money on fire? You don't know?
No, I've never known a woman I know a woman who burned money, my money.
Right, Bernadette.
Bernadette, yeah, Bernadette. That's good. Yeah, it's like I got to talk. Speaking of debts, I got a call from Visa last week. The guy said, "We have not received your last payment." I said, "Yes, you have."
There we go.
There we go. That's
one that we could all relate to.
We're not going to use that.
Hey, the guy from MasterCard called me. Said my balance was over $10,000.
Wow.
I said, "Look, if I had that kind of money, I wouldn't have been using your card in the first place." When I was married, my wife had her Visa card stolen. I never even reported it. Whoever found it was charging half as much as she did every month. I paid the bill. I said, "Honey, we can't get any more of those." I saved thousands that first year,
Now, do you believe comedy is the best medicine?
That's an old proverb or whatever the word it is. Comedy is laughter. Actually, laughter is the best medicine.
Okay.
And I know for a fact that that's not true. Because I went to the sick ward in Kaiser, and I laughed at those people for close to an hour, and they didn't seem to get better at all. So, I can tell you that laughter is not the best medicine. There's other stuff that's better.
Okay. Go ahead, Amy.
He rendered you speechless, did he?
Yes. That may happen every so often.
Okay, that's good. Well,
right.
I'll give myself the points.
Yeah. All right. Do you believe in working out?
Working out, yeah. I'll tell you, I was in such bad shape a year or so ago. Once I got whiplash from gargling. I mean, you talk about being in bad shape. So I joined. Well, my doctor told me last year that I should jog, and I said, "How much?" And he said 3 miles a day. I called him up a week later. I said, "This isn't working out." He said, "Why not?" I said, "I'm 21 miles from home." So this year when I had a physical, he told me I should walk 2 miles a day, and I said, "Oh, that's a little better." He said, "While you're at it, would you just take my dog with you when you go?" So that seemed like he was trying to get a little too some. But as far as I joined a health club, one of these things a few months ago, and first day they showed me all the equipment, everything. I get done, the guy says, "You got any questions on any of the machines?" And I said, "Just one." He said, "What's that?" I said, "You need exact change for the candy machine?" So actually the first night there, when I was there, I was arrested in a parking lot, and I told the policeman, I said, "But the sign said free weights." So some of those will understand that joke, others won't.
I don't get it.
The weights, and you just pick up the bars. It says consider free weights.
Now, okay.
Free weights. So
see, I don't go to gym.
I was only right.
Yeah.
I was only able to take a couple of 5-pounders. That's all I could lift. So it wasn't like I was taking out. Actually, last year I completed the entire LA Marathon, including the commercials. I never left the couch for 2 hours and 17 minutes. Well, I consider that quite a quite a tenacious effort on my part.
Yeah, that's a tenacious effort, especially when it rains. So,
But right now, I'm a little bit older, but I still play basketball 2 or 3 days a week. But I can tell what the other team thinks of my ability by the guy they have guarding me. I was playing the other day. I said to this guy, I said, "How'd you lose your leg, man?" So when they put a one-legged man on you, that's no respect for your game.
Yeah.
They don't really think you're that good. A one-legged guy can guard you, I mean, I remember twice when I was backing up, I tripped over the foul line. Now, when I was younger, it seemed like the floor was level, but now as I get older, I guess the foul line's a little higher than it used to be.
How do you trip over the foul line? That's what I'd like to actually, because I've done it. I don't know how.
I don't know how either.
All right, so this is a good question.
Oh, I hope so.
It's a really good question. I know you'll like this question. You wrote it. you wrote it. Why am I here? No. This question. What was your biggest mistake in 2014?
I've been thinking about it because I'm the kind of guy that makes his share of mistakes. But my biggest mistake of last year was going to a Mexican Halloween party dressed as a piñata.
Oh no!
I do not recommend that one to anybody. It was a boo-boo.
That's great.
What do you have, Amy? Please.
Take my husband, please. No. Because take my wife wouldn't work for me.
Well, you asked, so.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. Speaking of that, I was just thinking. Do you have any experience with lesbians? Have you ever had any encounters with lesbians?
No.
Well,
I remember once I went up to this woman in this bar and I said, "Can I buy you a drink?" And she said, "Sure, you can buy me a drink, but she said, it's only fair to tell you I'm a lesbian." And I said, "Really?" I said, "What's a lesbian?" She says, "Well, you see that blonde over there?" And I said, "Yeah." She said, "I like to have one hand in her blouse and the other hand between her legs." And I said, "Gee, I must be a lesbian too."
Oh, man.
But you know what? Actually, but I read this in a journal. You know what the biggest cause of death among lesbians is?
What's that?
Hairballs.
Okay, folks.
But seriously, folks.
On that note, if there's any hate mail, please send it along to me, and I'll pass it to Alan. I
only repeat what I hear. I don't know anything for sure.
Oh man. How do you avoid having too many expectations when going out on a date?
Well, that's one of the things that every time you go out with somebody new, whether you want to admit it or not, it's supposed to be fun. It's just whatever it is. It's not a big commitment, but everybody has expectations. So, what I've done now is I try to get ground rules before a date.
Okay.
So I'm talking to this one woman right now on the internet. I'm pretty sure we're going to go out. And she said to me, she said, "You sound like a really nice guy. You're really funny." She said, "If we go out and I like you," she said, "you can sleep with me," she said, "but no sex." And I said, "And that sounds good to me." I said, "We can go to dinner, but no food." I said, "Then we'll go to the movies and sit in the lobby." So we have all the ground rules set ahead of time. There's no expectations. Nobody's going to be disappointed. And it seems like that would work for a lot of people if you would decide to, just talk it out ahead of time.
Exactly. Amy, do you have anything? Do you have a question for Alan? Because
you're in tears. You're in tears. I can see that.
Yeah.
Oh golly. So do you believe in eating healthy?
Well, I shouldn't really admit this, but I have not eaten any natural foods in more than 10 years. 10 years ago, I was reading this magazine article, and it said that 95% of people die of natural causes. So I immediately stopped eating natural foods. I wasn't going to set myself up, I eat stuff with a lot of preservatives in it, and I expect to live a long time with that particular program.
Now I have to ask you something.
Sure.
When you were young and just starting out as a comedian, and even being a wise guy around the house.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Do you have siblings or a dog that would appreciate your humor? Because I used to have a cat that thought I was completely weird. And
well, let me tell you, when I was in high school, this cat followed me home, and it was such a pretty little white cat. I asked my mom if we could keep it. She said, okay. She said, but you got to take it to the vet and get it declawed because, I just got a new couch. I don't want it to ruin the furniture. So I took it to the vet, and by mistake, I asked him to be deboned.
Oh.
But it turned out okay because we named it Fluffy. It was a great little cat. We used to use it. We had many years we had Fluffy. We used to use it to wash the car on the weekends. Everybody loved Fluffy, so.
You really got him with that one.
But I got to tell you right now, let me tell you the situation I'm in. I'm in a position, money's been a little bit tight lately. I've got collision on my car insurance, but I don't have comprehensive. And a lot of people would think, well, what if your car's stolen, So here's my plan. I still have a cat, and it's got a little chip in it. So whenever I go out at night, what I do is I put the cat in the trunk. And then just if my car would ever be stolen, which it was once, I can just call the pet store. They can activate the chip and find out what a car is because they can locate the cat. The last time I called, this pet store said, your cat is running down a 405 at about 70. What do you feed that thing anyway?
Speaking of having money troubles, do you have any financial advice for our listeners?
Yeah, I've been thinking in my age, what have I done wrong in my life? The financial advisor I got right now, a couple years ago, turned my 401k into a 101k. So, I met him at McDonald's recently, and he asked me if I wanted fries with that. So you can tell what kind of a financial, but this is what I would say to any young guys that happen to be listening to this particular thing. I would be a lot better off today if I put more money in T-bills and less in G-strings. So that's my financial advice.
Well, oh my! I'm having way too much fun here.
Oh really?
I really am.
Sorry for you.
No, I hate to do this, but we are coming close to the end of our show.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Can I sum up a little bit about
by all means, please do.
Because people ask me, you say comedian, I'm not exactly well known, and people say to me, at your age, what makes you think you could still make it as a comedian? And I always say, I always remember the guy that invented Preparation G. He was so close. If he would have hung in for one more letter, he would have been very wealthy. So I'm hanging in there. I remember when I first met Barry, he asked me, he says, can you make any money at comedy? And I said, yeah, it could be quite lucrative. I told him I'd done a show early in the year and passed out business cards. And this guy calls me up and says, I saw you that night. You were really funny. I said, thanks. He says, I've got a Rotary Club up in Palos Verdes, and we need a comedian and MC for the weekend. Are you available? I said, sure. He says, well, you're not real expensive, are you? And I said, well, things have been pretty good lately for me. I said, but the very most I could afford to pay you guys would be like $200. And he said, I'll get back to you. And they must have wanted more because I never heard from them again. So people say, where do you get your sense of humor? I get my sense of humor from my dad. When my dad was on his deathbed in the hospital, I said, Dad, you want to be buried or cremated? He said, surprise me. But very fast, anybody's interested, August 4th and 5th, I'm going to be appearing at the Hollywood Bowl. lanes 11 and 12. A bunch of us are going up there for this bowling tournament, so you can find me then for autographs. But whatever you do, don't bring a copy of my new book about reverse psychology for my autograph. Don't buy that no matter what.
Oh, gosh. All right. On that note, we have to end the show. The tears are pouring down my face. I can't believe how funny it was. Alan, thank you very much. Amy, thank you very much.
No problem. No problem.
And you guys are welcome anytime. And Alan is.
I'll take you up on that.
I know. And Alan's also available for weddings, bar mitzvahs, and brisses.
Yeah, if you want to reach me, you can reach me at my email address, which is groundround@sbcglobal.net.
That's groundround@sbcglobal.net.
Correct.
All right. Well, we are out of here, and I'll tell you, I had a fun time, and thank you very much for making me laugh, Alan. I do appreciate it, and we are gone.